I let my wife piss on me though.
Even in the mouth.
I'm on everything.
No, do you know why that's mad? Because with girls, we don't have aim like that, so we would have to sit over
I'll follow you
and be like this.
Yeah. You know, like, I'm just following her the whole way, just catching every drop. There was two there, clap, clap. Like, I've caught you, babes.
What's up, people? Today, we're reacting to some of the craziest clips on the internet right now. Let's go. These clips I keep on seeing don't do them any favours,
Philly,
man.
do you have a message to your fans? Now's your opportunity. What are they going to think of this?
The UK rapper required to check in at Northbridge Police Station every day as part of strict bail conditions.
Young Philly, do you have anything to say about these charges? Young Philly, what really happened in that hotel room? Do you have a message to your fans at all? What are they going to think of this?
Philly accused of raping, assaulting and choking a woman in a hotel room after his Bar One show in Hillary's last month.
What do you think? Let me know in the chat, guys. Did he do it? Or is he reckon he's innocent? Do you reckon she's just making it up? Let me know in the comments.
Every single holiday that we celebrate is celebrating one of the 7 deadly sins. Every single holiday. Okay. Think about it. So the easiest one, Valentine's Day, celebrates the sin of lust.
Okay.
Christmas celebrates, here, I'm gonna show you, bro.
Okay, let me see.
Check this.
Christmas.
It's a whole list.
This Christmas.
Okay, boom. Easy one. Ready? Valentine's Day represents lust for obvious reasons. Now, Thanksgiving, that celebrates the sin of gluttony.
Gluttony, yeah,
because you're eating a lot. You're overeating. You're taking too much the more than you need.
Yeah.
Now, Christmas, what do you think that is?
Christmas. Greed?
Greed.
Yeah.
Overconsumption and excess.
Okay.
Right? Wanting more of something.
That makes sense.
We're celebrating gifts. We're celebrating gifts. We're not really even celebrating like the birth of Christ because people are so focused on the gifts and shit. Now, Easter. This one's interesting.
I don't know.
The holiday of Easter, what sin would it be?
Easter. I don't know.
Check this out. This one gets deep.
Okay.
So they say it's envy because the Romans were jealous of Jesus, so they murdered him.
Oh. What if I told you that America had its own version of Stonehenge known as the Georgia Guidestones? This stone monument appeared on this hillside in Elberton, Georgia on March 22nd, 1980, with the builders being completely anonymous to this day. The Georgia Guidestones contain 6 granite slabs standing almost 20 feet high and weighing over 237,000 pounds. And like Stonehenge, they incorporate aspects of archaeoastronomy, which is the ancient practice of aligning buildings with celestial bodies. For example, this center stone has a slot to mark the winter and summer solstice where the sun shines perfectly through this tiny hole exactly at sunset only on those 2 days every year. This smaller hole cut horizontally through the center stone marks the exact position of the North Star Polaris on every night of the year, and this slit cut through the capstone on top perfectly marks high noon every single day. That is, until they were blown up at 4 a.m. on July 6, 2022. Nobody has come forward and claimed responsibility for this bombing, and no suspects have been identified yet. That's why in this video, I'm going to attempt to take you down this rabbit hole and answer the questions: who created these stones, why did they create them, and who may have blown them up. See, what makes these stones so controversial is that they contain a message for humanity. 10 modern commandments engraved into each slab using the 8 most common languages in the world: English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, along with ancient languages like Babylonian, Greek, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphs, with a marker in front of the monument reading, "Let these be guide stones to an age of reason." Some of these guidelines include: unite humanity with a living new language, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. But the most controversial of these is the first commandment: maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, to put this into perspective, there are over 7.7 billion people on Earth today, meaning that to follow this guideline, over 7 billion innocent people would have to be eliminated from the population. To figure out who may have created these and destroyed them, we've got to go back to the year 1979 when a man named R.C. Christian walked into the Elberton Granite Finishing Company to speak with the president of the company, Joe Fendley. Christian wanted Fendley's company to help build a stone monument that would, quote, function as a compass, a calendar, a clock, and should be capable of withstanding catastrophic events. Now, Christian also admitted to Fendley that his name, R.C. Christian, was actually a pseudonym that he was using because he represented a, quote, group of loyal Americans that wanted to remain anonymous. He also mentioned this anonymous group had been planning the construction of these stones for 20 years.
How do you guys feel about that? That algorithm, guys. How do you feel about that? That equation. 500 million, and we're currently at 7.7 billion, touching 8 billion. Who's going to be the first to go? Let me know in the chat, guys.
The North Star proves that the Earth is flat and not moving, and I'm going to tell you how it's actually biblical. First, I'm going to show you a clip of the stars all circling around Polaris. Polaris does not move ever. If we're truly spinning at 66,600 miles per hour, while also circling around the sun, while also our entire galaxy is apparently like getting thrown through space at all times, why does Polaris never ever move? Every other star moves except Polaris. Many biblical theories think that Polaris is actually God's throne room, and I'm about to blow your mind. So this is artwork of what we think God's throne room looks like. Pay attention to the green here, and it says in scripture that his throne room was like emerald crystal. Now let's watch a video of Polaris through a telescope. We're nowhere near done yet. There is so much more. When you look up, where does the word Polaris come from? The root word means heavenly. And remember, all throughout history, we had sailors and just people in general following the North Star for guidance. You always know to find the North Star, and it's the brightest star in the sky. So let's go back to the throne room for a second. If the throne room is the North Star, which I personally do believe it is, I want you to notice these colors. And the North Star sits directly over the North Pole. Does anyone remember the natural phenomena that occurs around the North Pole? This blew my mind. Look at the colors of the Northern Lights, the throne room, and then Polaris. They're all the exact same colors. We used to have these Georgia guidestones, and in one of the stones was this little channel, and basically it was directly over the North Star, and you could look through it at any point and it just was always there because the North Star doesn't move. That's all that this did. In July 2022, someone randomly did this to the Georgia Guidestones. The very following year, our besties started pushing this narrative that the Earth's North Pole is shifting away from the North Star. As NASA was started by Freemasons of the 33rd degree, and currently it's full of those same people. So why would they be studying this? They somehow, from Earth, can figure out that the North Pole is tipping away from the North Star that's 33 trillion light years away. This is them trying to subconsciously program us to turn away from God, in my opinion. But wait, there's more. Here we have a very old flat Earth map, and this is what they thought the North Pole was. In Genesis, they talk about the Garden of Eden being where there was 4 rivers. Basically, they describe to a T what this mass of like land is, saying that this is Eden. If I am correct, and God's throne room is Polaris, Polaris sits directly above the North Pole, where it very closely matches the description of the Garden of Eden. And it makes perfect sense to me that the Garden of Eden would be directly under his throne room. Here's where it gets even funkier. So right in the middle is this landmass. Does anyone want to take a wild guess at what it's called?
Black Rock.
Does the name Black Rock sound familiar to anybody? I don't think anybody's ever been to the North Pole. The only thing we know it for is for Santa and his elves living up there. So not only is this a fictional magic character, but does anybody know the dark history of St. Nicholas? How about St. Nicholas and Krampus? Or the fact that they do exactly what the elites do to children? And we know that Freemasons' goal is to distort and do the opposite of everything that God does. So they placed a magical children herder up where I personally believe God is, in the garden of celebrities and elite people like Cat Williams, and I believe Kevin Hart said it at one point, say that the North Pole is like lush greenery and tons of like forests and flowers and things like that. One might say, well, why would they lie? Why would they tell us that there was snow up there if there's not? The entire thing with flat Earth, the reason that they would lie to us is because they're working to cover up the things that obviously make the Bible true. They hide things like this from us and then name massive evil megacorporations after them to laugh in our face and mock us. I don't know if I'm right about everything, but I just like to share my opinion, get your guys' feedback, see if anybody has anything to add to it. Like I said, these are just my personal opinions, and I just wanted to give you guys some of the things that make me believe in what I do. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys already knew all of this, if I missed points, this video is for entertainment purposes only. These are strictly my own opinions.
The missing part of the pyramid is what's on the dollar bill. I don't know why I never thought about that till now, but I feel like there's something about that shit. Hold on, look at this video real quick, y'all. And supposedly it's something written at the top of the pyramid, y'all. So I took a screenshot and I zoomed in, and you can see that there is something written at the top, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I just find it very strange, y'all, that the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill is basically that. Then we ask ourselves, why does America even have a pyramid on the back of the dollar bill? And specifically this one, because there are a lot of different pyramids and shit like that, all different shapes and shit. I feel like I'm on my national treasure shit right now. Y'all trying to figure it out. Because you know, nobody could just stand up there and read that shit. Very interesting. Wait up!
The old buildings from the old world, the sacred buildings, they used to have these brass balls and they loaded them up with mercury and they put them real high up so that they could gather atmospheric energy, which is free energy. The higher you go up, the more energy that's up there. And they would run, for example, a copper wire down into their home, and they could use that if they wanted free energy or to light their light bulbs or whatever things that they had in the home.
They left us with a riddle. For what purpose? Tesla knew the secret. The universe is magnetism itself. From sound waves, everything is energy. What is the price to pay for seeking the truth? His opponents are not praised, and indeed eliminated. Look at your hand. It is pure energy. Everything is energy. Doesn't always reveal the truth to you.
Call me dumb, yeah, but I don't understand how this works. So this is below, and there's buildings and houses, then there's a bridge. And on this bridge, there's buildings and houses on top. So are the buildings built on the bridge?
The mud flood, many say, was a deliberate attempt to wipe out Tartaria from history, hiding their advanced technology and knowledge. During the early 19th century, strange events were reported worldwide. Cities were being dug out from layers of mud and debris. Buildings were being revealed that were covered to their rooftops in mud. A global cataclysmic event buried entire civilizations, erasing them from history. But here is where it gets rather unsettling. The Tartarian Empire, an empire often depicted in old maps, was an advanced civilization that existed across Europe and Asia. They built architectural marvels, had access to advanced technology, and were able to harness energy from the atmos.
Who were the Tartarians? The official history is hiding a major world power which existed as late as the 19th century. Tartary was a country with its own flag, its own government, and its own place on the map. Its territory covered most of the modern world we know today, yet somehow it was ever so quietly incorporated into Russia and some other countries.
There's an ice wall around the whole world, and we're not allowed to go to it, literally. If you went over there, they'd just arrest you. And that's because they don't want people to know that the world is surrounded by a 200-foot tall ice wall. And that's what we call Antarctica. So all of this stuff is really mind-blowing when you think about it, but it's important to know.
How about when you talk to all these satellites, okay, and you go up and they take pictures? Hey, what does it look like? Many have been interviewed. I had one guy that I had on, and he had broke the record for living in space for the longest time. I mean, he lived 250 something days. What does it look like? It's round, okay? You know, satellites out there, you know, maps, the way we can drive around is because of satellites. When you go, you do MapQuest, or you do maps on Google Maps, or, you know, Apple Maps. It's round. What do you say to them?
Okay, so satellites, here's the thing, is that there are some satellites that are on balloons, and it's that simple. They hover up to about 120, 130,000 feet, and they're on balloons. That's why NASA is the #1 user of helium in the world. NASA controls 99% of the helium supply. What they're doing is they're taking satellites, filling up balloons with helium, and hooking satellites to these balloons. They float up about 120, 130,000 feet. That's as high as a balloon's going to go. Now, let me tell you the contrary. If you believe in satellites that they're actually in space, then you believe that there's about 50,000 or 100,000 satellites traveling around at 17,500 miles an hour. Now, you know, a bullet don't even travel that fast. Do you really think, my brother, do you really believe that there are 50,000 satellites in space right now, 100 miles up in the air, traveling around the planet faster than a bullet? They don't need maintenance. They don't need a fuel source. There's no other proof of them other than NASA says that they're there. Do you really believe that? I'm telling you that nothing in the world can travel 20,000 miles an hour continuously with no fuel source. I'm telling you, we can't even get something to
How do you guys feel about that? It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting thought, but probably want to see some more evidence. There was that supposed Chinese spy balloon that got apparently shot down in America, I believe last year at some point. But yeah, it's an interesting way of thinking, but we have to see some more evidence.
For a long time, I used to say, before doing what I did, I used to say, what happened? Why aren't we moving forward? Today's announcement sends a clear signal to the world that we are restoring America's proud legacy of leadership in space. At some point in the future, we're going to look back and say, how did we do it without space? The Vice President will serve as the Council's chair. The privatization of certain aspects is going to play a very crucial role, don't you think? They are truly into it. I will say that's not easy because everybody wants to be on this board. People that you wouldn't have believed loved what we're doing so much. They want to be some of the most successful people in the world want to be on this board. The human soul yearns for discovery. By unlocking the mysteries of the universe, we unlock truths within ourselves. That's true. Our journey into space will not only make us stronger and more prosperous, but will unite us behind grand ambitions and bring us all closer together. Wouldn't that be nice? Can you believe that space is going to do that? I thought politics would do that. Well, we'll have to rely on space instead. Every launch into the skies is another step forward toward a future where our differences seem small.
Imagine we have been deceived a lot more than you could ever imagine.
They run out of anecdotes, you know, and they just start making stuff up. Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk show? Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon? Talk about a fish story. Yeah.
Man, and they're buying it.
How do you feel about that, guys? Probably need to see some more evidence.
This ancient doorway, cut directly out of the rock, is called the Kapilakaya Rock Tomb. It's located atop of a rocky mountain in Kirkdalum. This mysterious tomb dates back to the Hellenistic period, meaning it was created around 2,300 years ago. Intriguingly, although it's called a tomb, no remains have ever been found. Archaeologists believe the tomb was looted at some point during history, and whatever was inside was stolen. The sides of the tomb are narrow, but a person can easily fit down. The tomb walls are adorned with modern-day graffiti, but you can see how straight they are. That's some really impressive chisel and hammer work. It's more obvious on the second side that the walls seem to slope inwards, making them wider at the bottom and more narrow at the top. If they chiseled from the bottom up, those ancient people would have had biceps for days. But the most interesting part of all is that there is nothing behind it, meaning the only entrance is the small square cut out of the middle, just enough space, I guess, to push a body through.
Conspiracy theories that will change your perspective on life. The last one is the most shocking. The Big Bounce theory. It states that if the Big Bang occurred from nothing, then there will be no changing fact the next time the universe is created. This means that when our universe ends and another is created, it will be created in the exact same way with the exact same galaxies, planets, and species. If this is true, our entire universe is in an endless cycle of creating and destroying itself, and you will be born into every universe endlessly. You can actually see who blocks you on TikTok. It's the first person that appears when you click share and more. The real reason Apple removed the headphone jack was to try to remove Square Pay systems as a competitor for Apple Pay. Ancestry DNA and the rest of those Ancestry websites are run by the government to have access to people's DNA across reference crimes, etc. The food we have been eating in the United States is a huge part of the mental illness going on today. Like and follow for more interesting yet mind-bending conspiracies.
This guy was playing Call of Duty, he heard gunshots, but you won't believe what happened next.
So, a simple thing for people to recognize. Wherever there's a Chinatown, they're operated by certain gangs, and they pay, the police is in their pockets. And when I believe me, the police is in their pocket, I'm telling you, the police is in their pockets. When I was about 13 years old, when I was running the streets in Chinatown, West End London Chinatown, I threw the big brick on the floor, and the two police officers came over and asked me which part of gang you're with. And if you're with a certain gang that they're in the pockets, they say they didn't see it. And this is exactly what happened. And I thought, wow, this is when I realized, whoa, this is serious. This is serious now. I'm starting to like this now. But I was with that gang. But then obviously, through a lot of problems and things, you shift. You don't go into one gang and go to another gang unless your boss has done you wrong, your people's done you wrong. There's no other ways. Once it's blood in, blood out. They ain't know nothing about it. So remember, these gangs are not just London operating; they're through the whole country.
Yeah.
The police know this.
And the triad is a high level of crime, isn't it? Large amounts of money and stuff like that.
Large amount of money, but you will never see it. The ones at the bottom will never see it. I will never see it.
Okay.
Anyone at the bottom will never see it. It's always the guy at the top that sees all the money.
So,
are you really prepared to use that?
Of course. If someone trying to endanger my life, I ain't gonna stand there with this in my hand and not use it.
Do you know though, by carrying that, somebody innocent can lose their lives?
Yeah, of course. And that's why we're not stupid. We're not bangers. We're just trying to make money, feed our family and protect our shit. I didn't go to school. I was kicked out of school, so I had to do something to make money.
But that's not the only thing you can do, is it?
It is when you're surrounded by killers and thieves. And
what about the harm the drugs are causing?
It is what it is. I don't like it. I don't like living this lifestyle. But my kids don't know I live this lifestyle. They don't see this side of me.
What would you think if you found out somebody had been dealing drugs to your kids?
I wouldn't be happy. And I wouldn't be happy.
So why is it okay for you to do it?
Because it's all I know. I know it's a horrible thing what I'm doing, but we ain't got no qualifications. We ain't got nothing.
People watching this will be absolutely terrified that people like you exist.
So that's just how it is.
Well, that about wraps it up for today, guys. Keep an eye out for the next video down below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And we got content coming every single day. Peace.